In this vlog, we will try to see the exceptional handling concept in Python programming. So what is an exceptional handling and why do we use it? In software development, whenever you try to face any error, then the entire software might crash when you find a particular error. So instead of crashing, you need to handle that particular error and go ahead in your computations. For example, whenever you are trying to make a calculation, then you might receive some sort of errors. So instead of crashing the entire application, you need to provide a message stating the error and ask to retry. So for example, let us try to consider a variable 10 and one more variable b to be 5 here. And now let us try to divide a by b and try to run this particular code, and here clearly you can see the output like 2 here. So there is no exception in this particular example, but what will happen if you try to divide 10 by 0? So here you can see we have got like 0 division error here, and instead of 0 here, let us try to consider and try to run this code, and here we have got a type error. So previously we got a 0 division error and now we got a type error. So here we can't control the user input. So whenever you try to provide a controller to the user and ask for the input, the user may provide a digit or a character, or sometimes there might be a logical error even. So in order to handle these kinds of errors, we make use of the exceptional handling concept here. So every software needs to have an exception handling concept implemented in it. For example, if you are coming from a Java background, there you might have found this in terms of try, catch, final and finally. And in Python, we specify the exception handling in the form of try, and here you need to specify this print block of code here. And now instead of catch, here we have except. So whenever you found an exception here, it will be caught in this particular block of code, and here we can just provide a message like you have got an error. So now let's try to run this particular code here. We need to get a type error as we have provided value C. So now let's try to run this code, and here clearly you can see we have got a message displayed that you have got an error instead of app crash. And also let us try to see one more scenario here. Let's consider number itself here. What we want to do is like we want to provide one more print statement, try again. So whenever we have done a computation and we are asking the user to try again here, so here you can see these two print statements have successfully been printed, and you can also remove this print statement from here and add it at last. And now try to run this particular code, and this output is again the same. You have got the try again. So whenever you try to divide by 0 and try to run this particular code here, we have provided try and except here, so the print statement is printed as it is. But whenever you don't have any exception handling scenario, and when you are trying to print the computation of a and b here, so here you can see we have got 0 division error, and you can also notice that our print statement, that is try again, is not printed. So it clearly states that our program stops executing whenever there is an error. So this is not a good practice. You need to handle the exception here, and you need to process according to the exception. So now let's try to run this code, and as you have got an error, it is asking us to try again. So instead of the static values, let us try to consider input here so that you will get a good understanding of what is happening. Enter B, and the same for A also here. So now let's try to run this particular code here. So it is asking us to enter the value for A, and I'm entering 4, and enter the value for B, I'm entering 2 here. So we have got 2 as output, and now let's try to provide A to be 5 and B to be 0 here. So here it's clearly saying that you have got an error, try again. This print statement is getting executed irrespective of both the scenarios, like whether there is a crash or not. So there is also a block called finally. So here if you specify the print statement, it does the same again. So the finally block of code will get executed irrespective of the situation here. So even if there is a crash, you will be getting try again, and even if there is no crash also, you will be getting try again. So previously also we were been able to print this try again without using finally, but this is a good practice. Whenever you are trying to make use of the exception handling, you can make use of this finally block of code in situations like whenever you try to close the database, or whenever you try to release the resources which you are trying to use in this particular try block here. And also you have a scenario where you can know the type of error here. So you need to extend exception as E here. You can just specify E here, and now try to see here. I am providing the value of A to be 5 and 0. So here you have got an error which is of type division by 0. It is clearly specifying now. And now try to run this code again. 5 I am providing, and here I am providing A. So here we have got the value error. Why we got the value error? We have provided the exception and still we got the value error. Why? Because the input value is not present inside the try. So now let's try to provide them inside the try block and specify them here. And now try to run this particular code here, and now try to provide A to be 5 and B to be, I'm just specifying S here, a variable. And here you can see we have clearly got, you have got an error, invalid literal for int. So it's saying that you have not specified the valid form of input which is of type integer. You need to specify, but you have specified some other thing. So in this way you can even know what type of exception has been raised with the help of this exception class here. So now I think you understood the concept of exception handling in Python programming. I suggest you to make use of this particular concept so that there might not be any crash in your application and provide a better user experience. So if you are having any queries in this particular implementation, do let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this tutorial, do like, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content on Python.